full house here, good.
How you doing?
Got Sandy missing. Sandy's not here yet.
How's Jackie doing?
Danny, yeah,
How's Jackie? Good, oh, yeah, pretty good.
Sandy's the only one that's not
right
here.
here and this side. That's about it.
Okay, Gina, let's have the roll call. This is the Washington Area Highway Transportation Committee. It is April 26th, 2021. Gina, do the roll call, please.
Craig Miller,
Here.
Ed Fisher,
Here.
Stephen O'Connor, Ray Frankenberg,
Here.
Bob Ingeman,
Here,
Bill Stratman,
Here.
Mayor Lucy, Joe Holtmeyer,
Here.
Danny Cassett, Elby Eckelkamp,
Here.
Bill Miller,
Here.
Tim Brinker,
Here.
Steve Sullentrop, John Ilges.
Here.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good morning to everyone. Sun's shining. It's going to be 80 degrees. Summer's here. All is good. First item on the agenda will be, of course, the approval of the
When we get our other chair.
minutes from previous meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve them as presented. Any corrections or whatever to add or not? If not, I'll have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ayes have it. Getting right into it, Amtrak, right on top of it. Thank you, Representative Griesheimer, for being here. You've been involved in this from the start. Maybe you should just give us a report about what's going on. Yeah, we're gonna just start you off. You're here, boy, we're gonna take it.
jump in with both feet.
Good morning, everyone. Is it okay if I take this off for a second to speak?
Please.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. Just a quick update on Amtrak. The House voted out of its budget. Unfortunately, they changed the light item to one passenger rail service, which obviously none of us want. Nobody's going to ride Amtrak if it's not convenient for them. And so I'm working right now with Senator Schatz and Senator Hegeman, who is the budget chairman right now in the Senate. They're doing markup. They finished that up last week, and they should vote on the full budget this week. We added an extra $1 million in there to fund 2 trains, and they've changed the verbiage on the light item back to 2 trains per day. So fingers crossed we should be able to get that done. The other thing, if I could, just wanted to give the committee an update just on House Bill 262, or Senate Bill 262, which is the 2.5 sales tax. This would not go to a vote of the people. This would raise our state's gas tax to 2.5 cents till 2025. This would be a 12-cent increase, basically, if you do the math. We heard this last week in House Transportation Committee. I expect that we will vote it out today. We should have the votes. It will then go to the Rules Committee, which will be a little tougher battle because we have 11 members there. And my math, we have 5 no votes right off the get-go. But I anticipate we should be able to get that, squeeze that through our Rules Committee, and hopefully take that up on the full House floor sometime here. We've got 3 weeks to go yet before we fully adjourn for the year. So,
Fantastic,
Good news.
so any questions?
fantastic.
Okay.
That's
Anything
great
we can do,
news.
anything we can do to help promote that gas tax?
You guys have done enough already. So just thank you very much and really appreciate your help with Amtrak. And Craig, especially you. Thank you.
Sure. I was going to ask a question about, so they changed that wording in the Senate and added some money to it. Do you have any anticipation whether, because that gets reconciled in the House then, right?
Correct. It'll come
Do you have
back.
any anticipation there'll be troubles with that, or it seems?
I'm sure there will be some trouble, but all in all, it'll go to a conference committee, which will make up of House members and Senate members, and they'll kind of work out their differences there. So honestly, the verbiage change was unconstitutional because it said that you couldn't, Amtrak couldn't tally up arrears, which you can't, legally you can't bind a future General Assembly on that. So
Good, thank you.
This is very well done, by the way. Everybody had a chance to look at this impact of Amtrak on the economy.
Yeah, that,
Very good.
Yeah.
that's a, MoDOT study that I included in the packet, that kind of, it's their executive summary of all the, it's a great tool for helping educate folks as to the impact in Missouri, which is wonderful. The best tool is representation like Mr. Grieseheimer, so thank you very much for that.
And last thing I'll just point out, it's fitting that we have our transportation meeting today. This week actually is Work Zone Awareness Week. It's why I'm wearing orange. Just remember our men and women out there that are putting their lives on the line literally every day. So thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you
Can
very
I
much.
ask
Thank
you
you.
a question real quick, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Representative Griesheimer, first of all, thanks for your work, my friend. I appreciate it, truly.
Thank you.
What is the path that you see, I mean, quite candidly, on the gas tax bill?
Well, I mean,
Perspective, I mean, I hear a lot of things, coming down our way that say it's gonna be a tough road to hoe.
it is going to be a tough road.
No from you, but your opinion is, if you could.
I think it's going to be tough, but I think this is probably our best shot. I mean, realistically, I mean, nobody's going to. During an election year, obviously, people are going to be more skittish on voting for a tax increase. Just being open and honest. But I think this is our best chance. We'll see what happens. I do think we can get it done. We'll see what kind of arm twisting will take place. Who knows? There's a group, as many of you know, the Conservative Caucus, and they try to disrupt things. We'll see if they play any tricks. But I think there's a path. I think we can get it done.
Super, yeah.
Right.
Appreciate your optimism, my friend.
You bet. What actually is the alternative if this doesn't pass? I mean, what is there is no other alternative.
There's no alternative, no.
No match? There's no match?
There's no match. I mean,
it would literally
we're just kicking the can down the road, basically.
of Missouri. Anyway, I just.
Is another question relative to the state and is MoDOT present today?
Yes.
Steve's on the phone.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yep. Super. Glad to hear there's a lot of concern I'm getting from everyone regarding participation level of MoDOT from all meeting perspective of the eastern side of the state. And it's like, we need to get that addressed ASAP, for projects that are current and ongoing and upcoming. Just plant a seed
Sure.
in the boss's ear.
I've also heard often that MoDOT isn't allowed to have an opinion on this. I think that's definitely wrong. I mean, they
I
have to
agree.
provide a service to this state, and that service to this state is to provide us an avenue to increase jobs and productivity and everything we need to generate more taxes. I mean, this needs to be a grassroots effort, so if there's anything we can do or I can do to help you show that to the people, this is coming from the people. We'll pay taxes. We don't want to pay stupid taxes. Taxes that are going to make us pet a puppy or something like that. Like, we can get rid of that type of stuff, and that's probably going to get quoted, sorry, but I think it's important that we think about putting jobs in our homes in our state.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Ray. That is a big aspect of this, how many jobs this is going to create. Construction jobs, engineering jobs. I mean, these are good paying jobs that are going to generate our economy and really lift it up.
Well, we're getting to the point, if we don't do it, the condition of our roads is going to decrease jobs here because getting commodities through the state isn't going to work as well for us. So.
Right. And we've got contractors that are going to Iowa, they're going to Arkansas to do the work because that's where the money is. That's where the projects are. So,
Any idea what the federal government's going to do? I mean, is that all up in the air too? The funding for a new transportation bill? I mean, it's.
to be fair, I can't quote on the feds.
I know. Just.
We'll see what happens there. Again, fingers crossed.
Right. That's a heck of a way to do business with fingers crossed. I'll tell you.
I agree.
Just
Any
a
other
comment. Your dad worked long and hard for Amtrak when he was in the House and the Senate. I'm sure he's following this very closely.
Yes, he is. This is, and I said this to a group of individuals that rode Amtrak up to Jefferson City that were lobbying for 2 train services a day, and I just told them, I said, this is personal for me. This is a family legacy that I intend to keep. So I'll be working hard. So this is personal for me. Thank you.
So any chance that we could get the list of those people who are opposed to this? It seems like it's a
Yeah, I can give you
Do
that.
something.
I can give you the
Do it.
contact
At
information.
least get our voice heard.
I can give you the
Those that are-
emails. Just a simple email sometimes is helpful.
Yeah, who's lobbying for and who's lobbying against?
Sure.
And I think that's important because, as you said, it's an election year, and I would recommend that people don't vote for those people again. So,
I would too. Honestly, that's just,
yeah.
We only had one group that tested or that testified against the gas tax, and believe it or not, it was actually the convenience stores. And their argument was they were afraid that that truckers and car drivers are going to bypass Missouri and go to Illinois. Well, I can't imagine Illinois. I mean, their gas tax is 50 cents from what I understand. And Kansas and Oklahoma, and you guys know the rest. But there's one key thing that they have that Missouri doesn't have, and those are toll roads. We don't have any toll roads. And the convenience stores hate toll roads, so, as I do, so.
well, that's not in the provisions, is it?
No.
No, I wouldn't
No.
think so, no.
But that's another way that they are able to generate
how they
revenue.
have
We
their
don't,
roads.
so. But,
Well, I think we should have lots more questions for you, but I can't come up with them, right?
but I will follow up with the committee and get you those contact information.
And
I'd be
locally,
happy to
of
do
course,
that.
our transportation issues are coming to a head also. Highway 47.
Right.
between Washington and Union and St. Clair has become I mean, there is activity. Things are moving a little bit. But quite honestly, we've got situations across the river on the north side with Boone Slick Regional. They're interested in helping us extend Highway 47 to the north. And so, I mean, these are big things, and we've got the new school opening up here in August.
Right.
Out in my direction, and there's some real needs there. I mean, that intersection, something has to be done before somebody is seriously hurt or whatever, on both ends of it.
Right.
I'm going to throw one more thing out there to you,
Yeah.
too. I think we've seen, without a doubt, all of us would admit that here in Washington, at least, we've seen a lot more traffic in the past year and a half. And we're seeing that all over the country. We're seeing people move out of the heavy metro areas where all that tight traffic is. And our system of traffic has been set up for those metro areas. So as that changes, we're not going to be able to accommodate the traffic out here if we don't have the gas tax money or a tax money that's going to allow us to rebuild and take care of that traffic and make the growth that we're seeing right now permanent growth.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aaron.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for being here.
Thank you.
I didn't even ask Steve if he had any questions for Aaron. Steve, can you hear us? Okay. Can he maybe can't.
Stephen, can you hear us?
Yeah, okay.
Try to move it up there, maybe. I'm not sure.
Whatever. I'm just want to be sure that can hear whatever's going on. Okay, moving on, Highway 47 Missouri River Bridge.
So I can give a quick update. As of last week, I did talk to Tim Hellebush, there were some emails exchanged back and forth. Ameren has some conduit repairs that they need to do on the underneath side of the bridge. We're anticipating that'll take place first week in May. They are going to be just tracking in a man lift through the Riverfront Trail. So we're getting logistics all worked out. There'll be a flagging operation. We don't think it'll affect closure of the Riverfront Trail. We feel they can get in there and get what they need to get done pretty quickly. So we're thinking that's next week, pending weather. Second item is the lighting. I know, Tim's been working pretty diligently with Gershner, which is the subcontractor to Alberici, regarding the lighting situation. Quick summary, if you recall, there's some issues with the lighting programming. They are unsure of whether that's like a low voltage situation or if it's an actual fixture situation. The manufacturer of the lighting fixtures was not able to travel into Missouri due to COVID reasons. They feel like that's been taken care of, or they feel more comfortable that they can travel into Missouri, so we're hoping sometime in May. That has to have a barge scheduled. That has to have, there's a lot of logistics that have to happen to get that done. Gerstner would like to have them on site, so when they troubleshoot it, it can all be done at one time. That way they know what the issue is, they can develop a plan to fix it. I do not have a schedule on when that's going to happen. Regardless, there's a warranty period with the lights before those are turned over to the city. It has to work for essentially 2 weeks prior to MoDOT accepting it and then giving that over to the city. So the warranty period has not started. It's been a struggle to kind of get here, but I'm confident that they're going to get it taken care of, hopefully by summertime. It's well overdue, for sure. Other than that, I think everything, the bridge is working pretty seamlessly. I've not heard anything negative, really. If you have any specific questions, I can try to answer them.
Do they sell maintenance agreements on lighting for bridges?
Yeah, that's
Talking
part of
out
it.
here, because that's going to be a
Yeah.
continual.
Yeah, that's a
potential
concern that
problem.
Darren and I've had basically since day one. Per the contract, the supplier was to offer the city a maintenance agreement. It hasn't really gotten to that point yet, and we have to talk about that. I mean, the supplier's had some issues getting it up and running, so there may be some concern about, is that a contractor you want to utilize? So, there's some things in there that we still have to work out. Right now, we just got to get to the start of the warranty period, quite frankly. So, budgeting-wise, this is over $1 million system. I think there's some pretty substantial cost even to our insurance provider on it. So, logistically, if a light bank would go out on the bridge or a control box or something like that, it is not us going out there and screwing in a light bulb. It's not us plugging something in. They have to be programmed. They're LED lights. We do have 10% of the overall fixtures that we have to store because, I'm afraid 25, 30 years down the road, you're not going to be able to buy those light fixtures anymore. So there's these other concerns that we have. I would just say that if there was an issue, let's just say month 6, month 8, month 18, that the city's going to have to, it's going to take time to fix those. So I would just, again, I wouldn't anticipate any major issues, but we've had some to get to this point, so I think we just need to be honest with ourselves that they will happen.
Yeah, they will.
And we just need to be patient when they do.
You had some vandalism on the bridge, as I recall.
What's that?
You had some vandalism on the bridge with some electrical boxes or something?
Oh, yeah, there was some, there's some ground-mounted or ground flush control boxes that are on the south side, and there was some of the lids were popped off for some reason. MoDOT, that is under MoDOT control, it's not city control, but we were notified. MoDOT did go there and, basically put the lids back on. And I think they were working through getting some lock boxes and some things put on them that were not part of it. So, there's control boxes all over. Every traffic signal has a control box. This is the first time I've ever heard of one being popped off and just open for whatever reason. So, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
You're on top of it. You guys know you guys have got it.
Yeah, we're working with MoDOT to try to get these things resolved. But yeah, it's a challenge when you're talking electrical, computer type systems.
So just for purposes of a guesstimate, when do you think that it could be opened and actually physically turned on at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
I've given you a guesstimate every meeting.
It's all right, it's all right.
I mean, hopeful this summer. I mean, I'll give a general, hopeful this summer, but
Yeah, good.
I was hopeful this summer, last summer, so,
I know,
I know.
I know.
John, I think I misunderstood. You said there was going to be a 2-week warranty period before it's turned over to the city. That's just for that period, and then there's a longer warranty.
Correct. It's a 2-week testing period, is what
Okay.
I should have said. A 2-week testing period before it gets turned over to the city for the warranty to engage. And I don't recall what that warranty
Okay.
period is, honestly. It's not long. It's not 5 years. It's short-term, in terms of 12 to 18 months,
Okay.
so.
Anything else on the river bridge? Hearing none, Highway 47? Talk to us, guys. Tim? Talk to me.
Morning.
Talk to me. Talk to us.
A couple weeks ago, I guess a few weeks ago, I called a meeting together right after the president started proposing this infrastructure bill, knowing perhaps or potentially the addition resource that might come out of the feds for all of us everywhere. We wanted to be prepared. and put out there and gather folks together and make sure that they were aware of what our intent has been, will be, and continue to be until we get it accomplished, and that is 4 lanes from Washington, Studerman to St. Clair on 47. And we got the main piece in the middle, the interchange resolved, and that will start turning dirt in 2024 on that, on the expressway and roundabouts there in Union. I called East-West Gateway, MoDOT, our engineer of record, and Cochran, and we had a meeting on that Monday via phone, and just stating our intent and trying to glean what the best path forward is and to be prepared for this. We have the Lockmiller Group study done already. Tom Blair with MoDOT stated that that's not going to be enough, although it was enough for the Union interchange. I'm trying to figure that out. After all, these agencies that we call together are supposed to be agents of results and not agents of resistance. And I want to make sure that continues to be the case, and through Representative Griesheimer's help and those like him, we're going to make sure that happens in terms of being agents of results. So with that, it was okay, we got everybody together, we know what we need to do potentially, and that is make sure we can get the right-of-way and things like this in line for when those funds, if and when they do become available, we're ready. Fast forward to Wednesday of that week? Wednesday that week, I called a meeting with the administrators of each of the municipalities impacted by this potential, and it is Darren Lamb and Jonathan Zimmerman of Union and Travis Dierker of St. Clair. The administrators and I, we met and had lunch and discussed this and many other things, quite frankly. It was very fruitful. But everybody is on board, willing, open, and ready to dive into this thing if and when these resources become available. It's still our intention, and it will always be so, to make this artery safer and more traversable, quite frankly, for further development and safety. So that's where that is currently. We have yet to have any feedback federally from anybody. East-West Gateway hasn't called and said, hey, it's coming, or anything like that, because it has to happen out in our potential 51st state before we have anything else.
Yeah. To follow up on the extension of 47 all the
Yes,
way
sir.
up to Highway 70, Boone Lake Regional, I contacted Chad Egan, who is the Jim Wild of
Yes, right.
Boone Lake Regional, and we talked about Highway 47 and a causeway, getting the roadway out of the riverfront,
Flood
bottoms, whatever.
Whatever.
He needs, if you have it, what you've done in Union, so that he can add that to. I've got a copy of the Lockmiller report, but I don't have anything regarding the Union portion and where you guys are, because there's funding that's already proposed, and that's a big piece. That was the big piece. Well, the first big piece was our bridge. This is how long this has been out there. Our bridge is done, the new bridge, Washington, Missouri. The Union portion, which was the bridge, hopefully is somewhat resolved. And if we could get that information and tag on to, because as I understand it, the government likes to do extensions of existing projects, taking an existing project and completing it. And again, just like everybody else, we're trying to get our name in the hat or whatever for any potential future funding. And this project, and I'll let Commissioner Gildehouse, if he wants to add something to this, it's a long shot, but, I think Commissioner Gildehouse can tell you that there could have been a flooding potential, like at Augusta Bottom Road, that missed it by what, Joe, a foot or less? Yes. In the last month? That could have been potential for there would have been, there could have been flooding where the bridge may have had to be closed. And nobody pays any attention to that. Like it's like we got this new bridge now, we don't have to worry about the floods anymore, but we do. It really didn't change that much at the bridge. So if I could get that information or have you forward it to Chad Egan, whatever you got in the in the center section with Union. He's willing to take it and try to add it to the things that he's promoting or whatever. And I think the traffic, the Highway 47 bypass, so to speak, was included in, I think, Warren County or Boone Slick Regional's list of projects that they were, in fact, it was pretty high on the list, as I recall, for a while. Joe, would you mind just?
And it was, that sort of went down on the list lately,
Yeah,
being honest,
yeah.
on that. There's just other issues. And
Come on up. Come up to like, maybe Steve can hear it too.
yeah, there was other issues. Back then, it was higher up on the list, but in the last year or so, it did go down.
Yeah.
On that, I did talk to Chad a little bit a couple weeks ago about, that a little bit. But there's so many other issues we have with MoDOT that's probably needs to be also completed sooner, if that makes sense.
Understand. But when the bridge is closed, there's going
Oh,
to
it's
be
bad.
real high priorities happen.
Absolutely, They did raise it a little bit. There's other areas, like in Dutso area, we wanted to raise, if we could raise that area like 2 feet,
Yeah.
that would keep the bridge open, or 47 open, to get over here. Probably if we could raise by the Dutso Deli 2 feet, that would keep that area open to Washington a lot longer. 'Cause it floods first by the Dearmans. That's where it floods first, But if we could do the Dutso area first, and again, we're working with Chad on that and the Corps, because if you raise that, they gotta do this study, how much water it backs up here. It's
I understand. It's a mess.
it's a pain.
It isn't resolved because it's a tough one.
I also did do a study on the bottom road, how many vehicles a day,
Hey, good.
and actually there's 315 vehicles a day go back and forth.
That's it.
And it's what's ironic on this, and we did it for a 7-day period, and for the most part, it's from like 8 to 3. That's where the majority of them cars are. So 315 go and 308 come back. So it's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah,
I thought it'd been more than that.
yeah, I did too.
But, and that's a 7-day period, so I do have that list. I'll bring it to you after a while. You can have it, but that's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, and again, the Augusta Bottom Road has come up in conversations again, and quite honestly, your call on the,
As far as the county-wise, it's going to be hard for me to put any more money than we already have in it. We have way too many other roads that are not surfaced to where we don't have a lot of people that live on that road as far as our county goes. So if we put money in there, I don't think that's fair to the other people of our county that does not have it, number one. And number two, with some of the stuff that may be going on in the Augusta area, it'd be hard for me to force everybody away instead of coming through Dutso and coming up through Marthasville area. Why do I want to push them away from us?
you're exactly right.
I couldn't do that. So-
It's a limbo
Yeah.
area, and it'll continue to come up, but really, the solution is not the Augusta Bottom Road,
No.
because it is still a levee. It is not a roadway. Probably should never be a road.
Between the
The
core.
causeway would be the solution, the actual solution to it, even if it's a partial, whatever.
Exactly. But I do have this, I'll share this information after the meeting. You can have that.
Very good.
So-
Appreciate it.
Anyway,
Do
thank you.
school district buses utilize Augusta Bottom Road, or they're not permitted to?
I don't think they are.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they don't.
Again,
I'm
it's one
pretty
of those
sure.
things you gotta almost check on.
Well, and then where the holes are, that's that water level where the holes is another issue.
Yeah.
I drove it over the weekend. It's okay. It's
That's-
actually, the bottom road is better than our state highway O right now. Although, knock on wood, there are paving today,
Yeah,
which is
fantastic,
really good.
yeah.
So,
Good. Okay,
but anyway,
thank you, Joe.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, Joe, real quick, did you put I thought I heard a date, but I didn't get it on that study that counted those cars? When was that done? Recently, or?
This was done between 3:30 to 4:06, 7 days.
Okay, so the end of March, beginning of April, 7
A
days.
running period. I have it per day, per time, you know, and actually it gives you a percentage when they are. I mean, so for the most part, it's from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., but it's, the ironic, most of it's from 10 to 2. The biggest part of it is. So it breaks it down for us. So anyway, Boonslick did that for us. I do that a lot.
Yes, yeah.
You know, like even going through Dutso, you know, there's about 7,000 cars go through Dutso, and about another 7,000 keep on going to Warrenton on a daily basis, back and forth.
Yeah,
So we have an idea where they go.
there you go.
But I'll share that with you.
Very good.
Thank-
Anything else for Joe while we got him?
Oh, yeah, I've got on my list of other things to do today, when we get down to that, is to recommend that we start officially including Warren County and you guys over there. You're here at all the meetings, and I think it's very important for us. I mean, we call ourselves the Washington area, but that area can cross a river, and it does at the bridge, and so
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not asking you to say yes or no, I'm just asking Bill to look into it for this committee to maybe adopt that.
Freightways organization doesn't recognize anything in Warren County. You know, that's East-West Gateway. That's their affiliation. So
Right.
Boonslick Regional, you would think that they would be looking at that area of the state of the area and looking at potentials for businesses and extensions of whatever, freight movement, whatever.
No, and actually down south, there is more and more businesses coming in down south. It's, you know, there's quite a few people, actually quite a few people over here work over there between the Sweppies and, you know, the Holmeyers, and we have quite a few people over there.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
So,
And we have, I mean, as far as transportation goes, you can't get to the airport without going over the highways to get there, and that's in Warren County. So
You bet.
I think it is nice for us to be joined somehow.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, early when Aaron and I did talk last week when I was up in Jeff City, Ruth, what's the representative? I have her card, I talked to her about, she's the chairperson. I'll bring that in too. I actually emailed her for the taxes, for the 2.5 cents. I do have her card in my truck, so I'll bring that in. So I did talk to her last Monday when I was up there. So I'll bring that in to you.
Very good, Joe. Thank
You
you.
bet.
Franklin County Transportation Committee, did you guys meet?
Yes, unfortunately, I was not in attendance. I know Darren, I believe, was. We did not, apologize. We, at the last, the meeting prior to that, I know the committee voted to add basically a sit-in voter. If I was unable to attend, or if anyone else on the voting entities, you could have somebody sit in, and they would have the voting powers. City Council did recommend, or did have Darren Lamb be that individual, just in case if I was not in attendance. I do believe that has to go to the commission to approve. I do not know if they've done that. But I'll work with Highway Department staff just to make sure that gets done. But City Council did vote to do that, so it's just something we got to go through.
Yeah.
So there's a quick update on that. So there would be, you know, there's a couple times over the past year and a half where scheduling mix-up or other things that we couldn't do, and I know that that's a pretty big, I guess, a positive step forward just to make sure that we had representation at the meeting. So there's that. The grant application, if you are aware, there's approximately $300,000, round numbers, that's available as a kind of a competitive thing for the municipalities and districts that are in Franklin County that we can, it's competitive, but we do put applications out to assist with our projects. Those can be standalone projects. Those can be tag-on projects. If we have like a MoDOT East-West Gateway 80/20, we can utilize those dollars to take care of our 20%. Historically, that's what the city has done. We've offset some of our local funding with those dollars to kind of stretch a dollar, okay? So that's kind of been the concept. I've not had time to sit down with my staff yet to go through what projects we would. I would anticipate that we would do the same thing. The feeling is that if we can get a MoDOT federal project, there should be no reason why we can't get a local project. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. So I'll let you know what we come up with on that. We do have Jefferson Street reconstruction, ADA improvements. That has been a funded project. We currently have RFQ. We have received the RFQs. We've not selected a consultant at this time. That would be one I would anticipate that we would go to Franklin County to offset some of those dollars. But again, there's other projects we can look into, and that's essentially what's going on.
I feel like I've got a lot of questions. The intersection in Union, you mentioned the intersection, but I don't think I really got an update of how that's moving. No, the one that would be I think it was a roundabout we saw, and then, that's the expressway? Oh, okay. Is that moving forward? And
Yeah, scheduled to turn dirt in 2024, stated earlier in the meeting.
Yep,
Yeah.
thanks.
Anything else?
For your notation, I understand.
We've talked about the Warren County, I guess you've, pretty much all your issues, Joseph. Special Road District, Edward.
Nothing too much important. We are looking into some safety things on South Point Road, so nothing preliminary, so.
Does the Special Road District, does it include the area of Old Highway 100
No,
or not? It does not?
It never
to
has.
touch base, I really didn't know for sure,
no.
but it does not come up to Old Highway 100, Special Road District.
It never has, I don't
So
know.
up to the bridge, I think, 'cause MoDOT actually owns the bridge, yeah, there's whatever the city limits are. It's in the special road district map, according to my GIS department. Now, whether those lines have been changed, or, I think a memo went out to Kurt Voss and asking about it, but I'm not sure what the response was as to.
So we don't really know
Right.
whether it's Special
But
Road
either
District.
way,
For whatever purposes, I mean, there's gonna have to be some maintenance on that old 100.
I got
That's
that.
county, you've got that.
when you're ready to go to that after, are you ready for that now?
4 months, it opens. Okay, Old Highway 100 Bridge, again, right back to,
So bingo. In March, Jim Grutch, our highway administrator, emailed Stephen O'Connor with MoDOT, says we're in the process of determining the extent of several of our resurfacing projects for '21. One of those is Old Highway 100 between Washington and Villa Ridge. This will be a mill and resurfacing, and just wanted to see if, one, you had an idea when they might be replacing the old bridge, and two, how far the approaches might extend on either end of the new structure. Stephen responded via his engineer. The old bridge is currently scheduled to be replaced in fiscal year '26. This could change, and the MoDOT bridge engineer replied with, if the bridge is a mill and overlay project, or if the project is a mill and overlay project prior to that, resurfacing up to the existing ends of the bridge, not to touch the bridge, or mill off existing asphalt and replace the same or lesser thickness on the existing deck. We are going to resurface Old Highway 100 from its initiation at the line to Villa Ridge this year. It's going to be a mill and overlay. The 26 is the year currently on record for bridge replacement by MoDOT, who owns said bridge, so.
5 years.
And will, again, per MoDOT, and in their defense, they said that is subject to change potentially, but we don't know
Sure.
ever what that means, so we'll stay on it.
Is there a project number on that work? I'm just curious, I mean,
Fair question, I don't have the answer to right now, yeah.
Stephen, can you hear me? Yeah, that's fine. Do you know if you guys have a project number on the old Highway 100 bridge,
Replacement?
the replacement of the bridge? What,
I'm not sure, off the top of my head, I don't know, but
okay.
I can do
No.
some research, but I just don't know off the top of my head.
No, that's fine. Commissioner Ricker just basically stated, I think that 2026 fiscal year is what you guys have it for scheduled replacement. We just wanted, there was just a follow-up question of a project number, that's all. So,
I'm looking at my information now, but I don't have it all right now.
okay, that's fine. And I have one question, Commissioner. You know, on the east side of the bridge, you know, there's a subsidence issue. You know, you could tell with the guardrail. And I would imagine that that's probably not part of the scope of the bridge replacement. Is that fair, or do we not know that yet?
That's a good question.
Okay, because
I
that
think rectifying the entire artery is going to be imperative, and that's gonna have to be part of it no matter when or where. I think upon bridge replacement time would probably be the most logical time to address that.
I agree.
With the dig out and fill and all that kind of thing. So that's right, I'd anticipate it, if I had to anticipate, but I can find out. So,
And to that too, on the
I mean, the guardrails at road level, you know. I mean,
right, you could see there's, you know, the city, we will be prepared to resurface from the bridge to the west. As you kind of couple years ago, we actually removed the asphalt and re-poured with concrete, heavy-duty concrete, to take care of the concrete trucks and those things. So, we're prepared to do so. Moving forward, that schedule was first I've heard of it. I just want to make sure that we don't, spend money prematurely till we get that delineation point of where the scopes are. So,
Yeah, maybe we can coordinate
yeah, that's all it takes.
our pour with
Yep.
their pour or whatever, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
In our notes, the difficulty project, and the project number is J6S 3647. Like it says, it's complete fiscal year 2026.
Did you get J6S 3647? Is that correct?
3627.
27. Okay. Everyone get that? J6S 3627. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that.
All right, anything else on the old bridge? Paving it, school district, whatever?
What's that?
What about the intersection of Highway 100 and St. John's Road? Steve, I guess we'll direct that at Steve and.
Yeah. Stephen, question, change in project. So the intersection of St. John's Road and Highway 100 near the new school. I know the last I've heard is that you were working with your traffic engineers to get a scope for a consultant to study the entire corridor. Has something changed on that, or can you give us an update on where that sits?
Yeah, nothing has changed, but I talked to our project manager last Thursday, and the consultant will finalize, he said, they have the consultant on board, they're negotiating the numbers, and they're kind of going back and forth on some DE stuff in the contract, but the hope to have it finalized real soon. Once that contract with the consultant figured out, they can do the study.
And to be clear, that study is, it's a larger scope than just the intersection. It actually extends further towards 44, is that correct?
I would have to.
Yeah, that's right. It's basically from Washington all the way to Interstate 44.
And I think, I may be jumping ahead a little bit here, but when that study gets going and that scope, is finalized, we need to be thinking ahead of, can it be piecemeal in the sense of that we prioritize some of the areas in the corridor. Obviously, if there was an overhaul of multiple locations on there, that becomes probably a more costly project. So, a prioritization of that, I think would be ideal, especially for this group. I would imagine that you would see the priority of St. John's and 100 would take precedence. But again, I really don't know what happens east of that with your other MoDOT intersections. So I think would respectfully ask that we consider that a little bit as it gets finalized.
Well said, John.
Yeah, I mentioned that, I said,
Perfect.
once we do have the study complete, can we make sure that we do St. John's Road
Perfect.
and 100 first? I think that is the priority, that intersection first, whatever gets done on that entire stretch.
Now, when we say the intersection of Highway 100 and St. John's, you're talking about both ends, correct? Old highway, new highway?
Yeah, it would be the
Well,
both
where
sides.
St. John's runs into Old Highway 100. Right. It's either there or it's,
That would be the county though, wouldn't it?
If you're talking about going all the way to the north, I don't think they're
No.
going that, they're not,
No, they're just gonna do the intersection.
they're just gonna do the intersection.
that's fine.
Correct, yep. So St. John and Old Highway 100, next to the school, that's under county
What's county?
jurisdiction.
And so that's going to be improved
Be
with
all
site
part of it, yep.
distances and whatever. That's, we're done with that one. Now we're talking about,
MoDOT's is
New 100.
Highway 100, right at the
right,
dual lane.
Dual lane, correct,
intersection.
correct.
That's what Steve.
that's the study, correct, got it.
Yep.
Is that to be signalized?
What's that?
Is that proposed?
That's part of their
Study,
study.
yeah.
Oh, they don't know yet.
They don't know. So Commissioner, what they have is, they are looking at getting a consultant on board, which it sounds to me like they're 90% through that, they're just the numbers. To
Volume
study,
estimates, et cetera.
yeah, to study the intersection of 100 and St. John's, I believe to Highway M, I think. So the entire corridor, because there's some other issues that MoDOT has on the east side. So out of that study will come projects and solutions. And all that we've asked was to make sure that St. John's was the higher priority of the two.
Got it, that's
Have
perfect.
there been discussions municipally regarding annexing right-of-way for Highway 100 out to that point?
Yeah,
There's been some discussions.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead, Darren. Yeah, we're okay.
don't breathe.
There's been some discussions. We have talked with the development east of town that's looking to try to go ahead and get utilities extended out there. And so part of it has been just to see if we can work with those property owners to get those utilities. There may be, and part of those discussions have been annexation, because it benefits the developer to be able to go ahead and do a higher density development. We think it's going to be an asset. And we think it's also going to be an asset for the school district. I think they have come around to realize, not come around, I want to say, but they've realized and they're on board with it too. But there's a lot of moving parts that we got to work with. Bill knows, he's part of the discussions that we've had, so we're working towards it.
Yeah, just curious, I know we've met resistance prior to regarding, Bowles Fire Protection District and things like that and things.
The one thing
but it
that-
may be up to Jones Lane or something
Yeah.
like that, or just to the St. John's on both sides, and you want to make sure you do that. right.
Yeah, I don't know that, we haven't had any problem with Bowles. I will say that when the city looks in that direction, there's something that everybody has to be aware of, is that the city only has rights to provide water service to a certain limitation that's within our agreement. So as the city, if the city grows to the east and they go outside that agreement area, those customers are going to go ahead and be water customers of Water District Number 3, and the city can go ahead and provide sewer and trash service separately. So those are some things that like I said, we're discussing with. We had another meeting with Water District Number 3 recently, and it had to do with the extension of sewer line out in that area, so.
And to add to that, that would be the first time, I believe, in our history where we do not provide all services. So this is unique to us. Working through that is that, if you purchased or you lived in that area, you would get a water bill from the water district. You would then get a separate bill for trash and sewer from the city. So it's unique.
happens in other jurisdictions.
It does.
Charles, they do it all over.
Yeah, it's just not common here. That's correct. Understood. Super, thank you.
Once again, just concerning this consultant that's going to be hired to do this study, what do you expect, when do you expect, after the persons are identified that's going to go do the study, how long is the study going to take?
Stephen, I'm not sure if you heard that, but Bill had a question. When the consultant is on board, what is the schedule for completion
There you go.
of the study? Okay. Okay.
Remind him about the school opening.
Yeah, and the reason for the question is the school, is obvious, and you know this, we've talked about this, but the school is scheduled to be open in July, with obvious kids coming in late August. So your traffic, those buses are going eastbound on eastbound 100, making a left most likely. Again, we don't see the bus route, but we would anticipate that. So, that study becomes obviously the first stepping stone here. Ideally, fall would be probably a fair time that we would hope that we have something, so we're working through winter time on identifying a project. Again, the concern here is safety at the intersection.
Exactly.
So, and you know all those things.
If we decide to put a pause on everything for about basically a year with COVID, so we lost the whole year getting the study completed. We wanted to get it done.
Yep.
Yep, we understand.
Started last March, now we're doing it this March, so we lost the whole year.
All we're doing is just,
Right.
all we're
Okay.
doing is trying to keep everybody aware of the
Yep.
situation, so we can forego any potential problems when the school opens. The school districts are going to have to do some studies on how they're going to run their buses.
Yeah.
Are they going to let the people pick up their kids? I mean, are they going to stagger them? Are they without even a temporary light maybe at, I don't know. I'm just talking out loud here. my concerns, I sit there and I see what's going on at that intersection, and it's, we can't just drag our feet. We got to push this thing as fast as we can. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Stephen.
Moving on, airport.
Okay, quick update on the airport. We have seen an uptick in actually jet traffic over the past couple months, due to, I really don't know due to, but I would think that, some of the conversation of development across the river may increase that traffic, so that's a good thing. Quick update on the hangars. The hangars are, 98% completed. There's one outstanding permitting item that we're looking into. The contracted community on hangar projects has seen an uptick in the cost to construct. I think that's kind of obvious. Material prices are continue to be relatively high. So we actually had to scale back the base bid of the hangars. It is now an 8-bay hangar, just to ensure that we can, afford purchasing this. It will have an alternate of a number one alternate that would add 2 additional to make it an 8-bay hangar, and then a number 2 alternate that would add 2 additional on top of that to make it a 10. So that's the goal. The locations that the hangars are going to be is going to be in between the northernmost hangar and the actual taxiway. That does allow for future hangars to be extended to the southeast in the future, so that's a positive that they could be added on to if there was an increase in traffic or a need. But right now, it's an A +2 is how it's going to be bid. If you recall, MoDOT did actually authorize additional funding to meet the funding gap for us from the St. Clair Airport. I don't have those numbers, but it does keep this project affordable for us. We were looking at, in order to fund it as a kind of a grant, as a you can actually increase your entitlement money that we get ahead of time for future years. That's what we were looking at doing, but MoDOT said, no, we will provide this additional funding to get this project done. Again, it started off as a 10. It's been scaled back to this 8 +2 just due to material prices, and we're hopeful that it'll come in under budget what we can afford. So, in addition, there was some vandalism about a month ago. The vandal did take out about $20,000 worth of lighting. We did work with our insurance provider. We do have a $10,000 deductible, so this does cost $10,000 out of our own pockets. They entered off Forco Road, drove across the ag field, and hit a bunch of lights with a pickup truck. We're looking at ways to prevent that. Once the corn starts growing, it kind of inherently prevents that. But unfortunately, that's the situation. We did add 2 security lights, or security cameras. I do not believe this would have caught the vandal just because it was on the outer ends of the runway. But I think there was some business owners on Warco Road that was also looking at putting some security cameras up too. So, we're hopeful that they have not been caught, but we're hopeful that that will prevent some of those things from happening.
Wow.
So that's all that I have with the airport.
Is there anything we can do at the end of that road?
Yeah, I don't know. I really, we're thinking, it's rural, it's hard, it's difficult. We've been working with Kevin Hellman's been working really with the owners of the property owners on Warco Road to kind of get some cameras and things up. We feel like that might be the best option right now. But, once the fields are ripped, it kind of takes care of itself. It was one of those opportunistic vandalism situations that we all deal with, so. Yeah.
Good.
And maybe anything you could do with those property owners just to let them know that, you support that a little bit, but.
Very good. Any other questions regarding the airport? Hearing none. Team Track?
No report, unless.
Moving on, East-West Parkway.
East-West Parkway. So the city has an opportunity to comment on subdivisions that occur within a certain distance from city limits. I don't know what that is, but we were notified about 6 weeks ago of a potential subdivision that was occurring Country Club Wayne Highway A. I think Franklin County's Planning and Zoning did reach out to Sal. Darren and Sal did have a meeting with the developer, I think, and Planning and Zoning at the county level, and made them aware essentially of this East-West Parkway. The development would occur south of where the East-West Parkway was. It would actually butt up next to it, but just south. And I think all parties were interested in working together to make sure that this subdivision didn't hinder a potential first phase of building that.
And it could be an asset to the development because it'd give it two ways to go ahead and get access, the old Country Club Road, and if East-West Parkway was built there to the north, that would be, they could go ahead and have a through street through the development. So that was discussed, and I know there's some additional, I know the developer is looking at some additional options right now to see how we can go ahead and make that happen. He's very willing to work with us, at least that day, indicated that, and so we feel that we're going to be able to go ahead and possibly get a portion of that, and then hopefully in the near future, we'll see.
Another aspect, of course, is being on the rural fire district. The concern is that these new layouts of these subdivisions and whatever have streets and whatever that can be where the access for the fire district, the rural fire guys to get their equipment in and out, it's going to be an age-old.
That's been going on for
argument.
years,
I know
Bill.
I'm just saying we have an opportunity if we're
Yeah.
with subdivisions.
I understand.
Just to realize that it is important to be able to get access from with this big machinery. So anyway, that's all. Thanks, Darren.
Update on High Street, the extension south, they're obviously under construction of, I think, an additional 80 units, the development at the end of High Street. That did include, there's two creeks or two wet weather branches, I guess, that kind of hinder that construction to the south. Part of that second development, 80 units, was to include that first creek crossing in it. So 50% over the hump there, so there'll be one more to kind of get to the farm to the south, but that's moving forward. So in addition, the Casey's development, if you recall, when that went in, that's a full access into the Casey's gas station, fairly tight to the intersection. I know we have some other intersections around town where that was allowed to happen. Planning and zoning, the city, we did actually require Casey's to put into escrow a right-in, right-out median. They did pay the city that money. We negotiated that. It does not get constructed until necessary. So, and the city is the one who deems it necessary. So at this time, it operates as full access. We do have the opportunity to make it in a right-in, right-out when the traffic allows it to. So that was, I think, a positive step in the right direction regarding these developments that occur tight to these MoDOT intersections. So we don't run into issues that you have at, Rabbit Trail 100, those type of things.
John, is that going to be based on volume, or is it going to be based on incidents?
It is based upon our discretion. So there was no triggering mechanism. So, when the city most likely says, hey, we need to put this in, we would look at volume, we'd look at incidents, those type of things. It would all be, there is nothing in that agreement, though, that would trigger that. It's us, correct.
I think we would look at a level of service for the intersection.
Correct.
Obviously, if
That's,
that dropped, then we'd say, okay, what can we do? Is this part of the solution to help that? Those are things.
it's just, the good thing is it was all discussed when that development went in up front.
Right.
So we're not playing from behind, taking something from somebody. Other things that Darren Sow and I've discussed is, High Street, the city doesn't have access management. I think I've spoke to this group before. There are city streets, there is no criteria in city code that we can require you to not put a driveway off of a street. So for example, Rabbit Trail, as you work south, has multiple residential driveways as you work to the south. I mean, when that gets connected, which it will, that is a major street, it is on our comp plan. When that gets connected to Beaker, you're going to have traffic, I would anticipate, that would bypass, would not have to go to 47 to go to 100. They would actually use Rabbit Trail coming from the south. So you have these conflict points at every single residential driveway backing out, those type of things, on a major street. It'll function as a bypass, but it doesn't really there's these conflict points. So, ensuring that High Street doesn't turn into something like that is something we need to be looking at. City code, again, does not give us the authority to say you cannot put a driveway off of High Street right now. So it's
The subdivision, when the subdivision's laid out.
correct. So
I mean, that's the discussion, that the subdivision gets laid out, and they've got, 29 driveways coming out onto the thing. We could sit there and say, hey, wait a second. This is going to be a major street.
therefore, we'd like you to go ahead and most of the time, we've gotten cooperation with that, especially if it's further along on like High Street or, some of these other places that John's mentioning. But it does come into a problem like Rabbit Trail, we're behind. We're playing catch-up. This is basically what we're doing in that
That's exactly,
situation.
we're looking for solutions
Right.
that aren't going to be ideal for everyone. And we're looking at solutions where we're trying to make sure all stakeholders are understanding about what we're trying to do. And it's all over, the solutions are all over the place. So if there's any ideas, we welcome those.
And after meeting with the stakeholders, we got a potential solution that they'd like to see. And I think that would work if MoDOT would go along with that. And so we've contacted MoDOT about that addition, or actually our CBB, our traffic consultant.
Yeah, no, we've actually, this is referring to Rabbit Trail 100.
Right.
But, yeah, we've reached out to MoDOT and CBB about a third potential solution, or fourth maybe, because doing nothing is a solution. And we're in discussion with that. I know MoDOT last week indicated that they would like to see what it would look like. So, Darren, I did not brief you of that, but we'll be getting with our traffic engineer and expanding upon that additional traffic study that we've set forth. So, again, we recognize the commercial entities that are located at Rabbit Trail 100 are going to see additional traffic. We know that the connection to the south is vitally important, as our comp plan shows. There's been a lot of development to the south. So it's, the time is now to keep that discussion kind of going. The city's traffic committee meets this Friday. We'll be talking about this as well. So this will just be an ongoing discussion about how we look to solve some of those problems.
And with the theater getting back into eventually the full swing of it, that's a major point of when the complaints come and when the intersection gets down to a lower level of service. So, and right now, it's, for the last year, we haven't had, because they haven't unfortunately been able to go ahead and be busy. But now that, people are getting the vaccinations, they'll be able to go ahead and get out. You'll see more cars in the lot when they let those movies out. That's when that level of service at that intersection has a problem. So.
Yeah. Any other comments regarding the East-West Parkway?
Well, someone's here.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the appropriate time to say it. I represent the neighborhood in Winona Drive.
Oh,
and
give me your name and your address.
I'm sorry, my name's Bruce Lindeman, and I live at 13 Winona Drive.
Okay.
And I'm just coming out of concern of the article that was in the paper a couple weeks ago speaking about the intersection at Winona and Rabbit Trail and 100, which would affect Winona. We already experience a lot of traffic on Winona using it as a bypass for 100. That it's just incredible amount of traffic, and they don't go slow. They drive too fast, coming up and down the hills and winding around. And we were concerned as a neighborhood that what the article said was that they would require Planet Fitness patrons to only go right and not go left into to the area by the theater and in front of the new Franklin Bank, which is going to add even more traffic. And I did talk with my representative, the ward representatives, and they said, well, Franklin would be the only one that would be required to go right. But then where do they go? Once they're required to go right, are they going to do a U-turn to go back out, or are they going to go up Winona? They really have no place else to go. And Winona's already, in my opinion, heavily traveled for a neighborhood street. So I'm just here to kind of represent the neighborhood and let people know that we are watching this and concerned and want to be involved in the decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can address a few of those questions. Yes, the article and the discussion that we had regarding one of the potential solutions would be limiting lefts out of the Bank of Franklin County Bank and limiting lefts onto Phoenix Center Drive from Rabbit Trail and limiting lefts onto Rabbit Trail from Phoenix Center Drive. That could be done a number of ways. One of those would be a potential median down the center of it, 2 foot wide, 3 foot wide, whatever that could be. And again, that's a potential solution. It's not, this is all for discussion. But the Planet Fitness would have full access I think that might be where the concern was, is that you would be able to enter Planet Fitness, you'd be able to turn right out of Planet Fitness, you'd be able to turn left out of Planet Fitness. That entrance into Planet Fitness is actually a shared entrance with the bank as well. So you would enter the bank property, but you would still leave through that shared access with Planet Fitness. So it does not funnel traffic to the south through Winona. So that was just a misunderstanding, I believe, in that initial discussion. So I apologize to you for that. But no, it's not encouraging people to go into the residential area. It's really doing the latter. It's encouraging them to go to the south, further away from the intersection, to go back to the intersection, to travel back on 100. So I think, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. We also did do some speed studies across the city through wintertime, and put some criteria that was discussed at the Washington, that our local traffic committee. Winona was included in that. There were various locations around town just to try to collect some data, with the concept being is there any other infrastructure that the city could do? I know Front Street has the flashing speed limit signs. How did the city make the decision to put them there? How do you go into these neighborhoods and make a decision to put them there? So we looked at taking some criteria. We did apply that criteria to Winona. It did not meet the level of putting in that type of infrastructure, and I know that's maybe not welcoming for you, but we had to look at something in order to not have these scattered throughout town all over the place. So it was determined out of that meeting that, police presence and those things and enforcement, and really just people complying with the speeds, which is something that is hard to do with actual infrastructure. People need to comply with the law set forth.
I know they had talked about possibly a stop sign at Mike Allen Drive that would slow some of the traffic down, because it kind of starts at the top of the hill is it where Lexington becomes Winona, and then it's just quite a funnel all the way. And stop signs inherently, I believe, do slow traffic down, but they are not a speed control mechanism. You do not put stop signs up to control speeds. You put stop signs up for sight distances and just level of service at intersections. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
Hey, John, just quickly, is there anything in the signalization of the highways that could be improved that maybe Steve could help with if you have a problem?
Yeah, we provided the CBB traffic study that the city had, and again, the scope was very limited. I don't want anyone to think that this was, some expensive traffic study. It was a very limited scope, but the intersection of 100 and Rabbit Trail does not necessarily have an issue, according to MoDOT. It's operating at a level C during the high trafficked areas. It's really the Phoenix Center, just 150 foot to the south is where we really start to see issues. So, yeah, I know Stephen's been I sent them the study. I followed up with them last week as far as these other concepts maybe. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people utilizing the commercial developments, coming from the west to east, have historically utilized that intersection to take a left to go to Phoenix Center 1 and Phoenix Center 2. It's kind of a back way in, I think, to, targeting those things. So the traffic numbers kind of showed that a little bit. So how do you get people to utilize the intersection of Vernacey Drive, further to the east? That's really the thing. So does signage help? Well, as this gentleman indicated, that people don't read speed limit signs. So signage helps to some level, but you really got to kind of funnel them in a direction. So those are all things we're working with MoDOT, and I know, like I said, Stephen's group, his traffic group, has been briefed on this, and we hope to keep feeding them information to see what we can do.
Well, South Point Road, obviously, is another one that there's lots more traffic.
Yeah, South Point Road is a separate issue, but yes.
It's a separate issue.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're looking at ways on our side streets as we enter to maybe put some right turn lanes. East 5th would be one where it does not currently have a right turn lane onto 100. So if you're going straight, you actually bottleneck traffic wanting to go westbound. High Street at 100 would be another one. Beaker at 47 would be another one that does not have right turn lanes. So ways to try to get some of this traffic moving so the people who are going straight don't block the people trying to go right. So the city's looking at all these things.
Good.
It's try to prioritize them is kind of the struggle. So,
any other comments, questions? Hearing none. Public transportation, anything new on that, John? Anybody? We haven't had our representative.
Had one here for a while.
Yeah, we might, I'll check up on that and see if there's anything that could be missing here. Any other business?
Couple project updates, STP projects, High Street overlay. High Street is scheduled to be overlaid with a new sidewalk from Highway 100 to just north of Borgia High School, and then it would be overlaid to Fifth Street. That project, we're just waiting on getting the pre-construction meeting with MoDOT. Once that's done, paving will begin almost immediately after. So there were some delays on that regarding just grant funding and those things, but that project is a go. Hopefully, that actually works out pretty good. We could do it during summertime, which is not a bad time to do these projects. Bush Creek Greenway, the city just did approve a programming letter last week, which would reduce some of the funding. There was some issues with land acquisition. We did purchase that property prior to even the grant application going out, so it reduced some of our funding. City Council did authorize us to move forward with still completing the project. So we hope to get that going, hopefully, summer, fall. And again, that's a 10-foot shared use path from Jefferson to Sunnyside with a sidewalk spur to Washington High School, and then continuing from Sunnyside to Highway 47 where it'll go on street. It'll be a pretty good amenity, especially connecting kids from the high school, middle school area, to our downtown facilities. Right now, there really is no direct sidewalk access. You see these kids walking on the streets a lot. So that project is a go. It's just trying to get it under construction. We have 2 grant applications, STP Front Street, which is from Jefferson to Stafford, new curb and gutter, new sidewalks, new pavers. Everything you see down there that was built in the 80s would actually be reconstructed as part of that. That is an application that's out right now. We are hopeful that we would receive that grant. It's an 80-20 grant. It connects ADA to Amtrak, connects ADA to with the busiest boat ramp on the eastern half of the Missouri River. So all these things, we feel pretty confident that it's a pretty good application. Also, High Street, completion of curb and gutter and sidewalks from Fifth to Front. Again, we put 2 applications in. It's the second time we've done this in the city's history for federal money. We're trying to be aggressive utilizing our ADA transition plan. That's important. I think that's important at all levels, state, federal, that the city recognizes ADA as a priority. So this will take care of that. High Street also connects the city to its new aquatics complex. So all those things in that grant application that we really tried to sell that as a concept. Both of those exceed $1 million projects. City would pay 20%, so $200,000 of our local investment. And again, we're hopeful to get those as a go. They would be constructed 2024, 2025.
Very good.
When do they award those? When do you hear back about those applications?
It varies, but I would think, May, June. Yeah. There you go. So
Very good.
But we're excited about those. Those are major overhauls of sidewalks that were potentially built, 40, 50, 60 years ago that have no concept of ADA back then. Where
John, you said High Street was from Front Street, and I missed the other end.
Yeah, High Street was from Front Street to Fifth.
Fifth?
Yep. And it would be new sidewalks, new curb and gutter along the entire corridor.
Oh.
So it would be a total reconstruct.
They widening it any?
No, sir.
No, just basically what's there is.
We're concerned with speeds when we widen streets.
Understand.
We just heard that.
Bet. Anything else? Anybody? Here's your chance. I guess I'll entertain a motion to, let's look at the numbers first. The half-cent transportation sales tax. Looks like it's up for the year, at least 6%, a little over 6%. So we're on track to do probably 2.5 million this year, which is fantastic when you think about fundings and whatever. And that's helping to do some of the street work. People don't realize it, but that actually is a help to have monies for the city.
And quick on that, historically, we've utilized those dollars to just, to pave streets to kind of get them back into some level. It started in 2006. We're looking at some of the streets that were paved back then as overlays now again, which makes sense,
Yeah.
around a, 15-year kind of schedule. Streets are, over time, they obviously degrade to some level. So there's a window here where we can take care of some of these sidewalks, these ADA things, maybe do some of these connections that we've been discussing. So that's what we're trying to take advantage of, is this small window to where you have to start going back and doing some of the paving of what you did back there. So there's a little bit of a strategy to that.
You bet. Good, well done. Hearing no more questions, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Have a motion and a second? Have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all for coming.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Stephen, appreciate it.
I was.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Have a good day.
Not a problem.
Same time.